Today's video is for the worship leader who enjoys having some lighting on stage to give a little vibe in the room, but you might travel and not have a whole lot of room. What if you could put a lighting system inside of the bag with your microphone stands? I've had the privilege to lead worship around the South United States for the better part of 20 plus years, and I always enjoy taking a little bit of lighting. The lighting certainly helps to change the tone and the vibe of the room and to make it special, sometimes making it look a little bit different than the traditional worship environment or setting that students are used to being in. Now, the problem with this comes in several different forms. Number one, cost. Most big lighting rigs cost a lot of money. And the other, maybe even more important, is the space involved in carrying large lighting rigs and then the time to set them up. Today, I'm going to solve all of those problems for you. To control the lights on smaller gigs, I actually use this. It's the Chauvet Foot C2. This allows me to control the lights myself, or maybe have a vocalist control the lighting setup. The lights themselves, I told you at the beginning of the video, fit in a really small bag. What I usually travel with and love traveling with are called Quasar science tubes. There are several different Quasar products. The one that most people are interested in is the T8, which is just a very small, single, fluorescent looking tube, but they're actually LED. And you can tape them to microphone stands, or you can prop them up. You can tape them to stands on your drum set. There's a number of different ways to actually attach them or lean them up. Sometimes I've even set them down on the floor in front of me. Just a very simple LED light. It uses a regular Edison plug. So what you're going to do is you're going to plug them into a small dimmer pack, a DMX dimmer pack, so that this controller can control them. The other light that I like using, the one that I use most of the time, is the Quasar Science Q50 KG, and this one actually has a small dial on the top that lets you adjust the color temperature. Now, these particular tubes are not RGB colored tubes. They're just white tubes, but you can adjust on some of them, like this one, you can adjust the color temperature if you want it to look cooler or warmer. For your money, for most people, I would just say get the regular T8 like this one. It's inexpensive, especially if you pre-order the tube in the color temperature you want. For most people, I would tell you to get the warmer color temperature. This particular one is 3000 Kelvin. So this is going to be a nice warm looking colored tube. What you'll do is you will put those tubes out on the stage. Again, you can mount them however you want to. I actually use C-stands, and I went on Amazon and actually found small clamps designed for T12, which is those larger T12 fluorescent tubes. I mounted those clamps using zip ties onto the stands, and then I pop the lights right onto the stands, and I run an extension cord to each light over to the dimmer pack. To make it real simple for me, I actually use a small gym bag, and I pre-bought black extension cords to the length that I needed to get around most stages, and I leave it all in that gym bag so I don't have to go looking for it or hunting for it every time I'm ready to grab the lights, throw them into the vehicle before I go somewhere. Set the tubes up on stage, run the tubes to the dimmer pack using extension cords, and then you're going to plug the dimmer pack into the lighting console at your feet. I designed the programs on this console for these lights just to do a few simple things. I can click the lights for them to come on, and this board is really great because you can pre-program the fade time so that it always fades whenever you click the switch. It doesn't just pop on. When you click the switch, the lights just nicely fade on. And then I gave myself 3 different settings on the scenes. So a dim, a medium, and then a really bright. And then you can also click the mode button. When you click the mode switch, it switches over to chase, and I programmed a very simple chase where the lights just kind of fade in and out at a slow rate just to give the stage a little bit of movement. If the song doesn't need a whole lot of movement to it, I simply hit the mode switch to go off of chase and grab the scene again, and the lights will just static on really slow to give a great looking vibe. Whenever the speaker gets ready to come up at the end of the worship set, I just tap blackout. Once I tap blackout, the lights just fade down. That way the lights won't be on during the speaking portion and won't be distracting in any way to anyone who's watching the speaker. You can use this board. This is actually a board designed to program colored LEDs. You could certainly add colored LED lights on the floor and maybe uplight some of the walls or something. If you wanted to pack a few colored lights, you could program these on top of the same scenes that you've programmed the Quasar science tubes. I just like the simplicity of carrying the tubes because they fit in literally 2 bags. I typically take about 8 tubes and I'll put the tubes in one microphone bag, and then I end up putting the stands that I'm going to attach the tubes to in another microphone stand bag, and then I have that small gym bag which holds this board, the dimmer pack, and all of the extension cords. Nice, clean, simple. I'll end up doing another YouTube video detailing how to set up and program this board. I will say it's very simplistic. It is a DMX 36 channel board, so you can do up to 6 fixtures where each of those fixtures look different in some sort of way. I actually program fixture number 1 for the Quasar tubes, and then I just use the first 4 knobs to actually program that channel 1 through 4. You could plug into fixture 2, you could put some LED lights if you wanted some colored LED lights. This board is very simple to program. All you would do is select the fixture, and then the knobs themselves have the colors already labeled on them, and you just fade up which of those colors on the LED you want to blend in, and then it's easy to tap the program button and tell it what scene you want to program it in on. I've used this setup with larger bands on stage. I've used this setup with just me and 1 or 2 other musicians on stage. It can grow. You can make the setup really as big as you want as far as however many tubes you're willing to purchase, or you can make it as small as you want. There's many times that I've just put 2 or 4 tubes out on the stage just to give a little bit of vibe and a little something different on the worship stage. It's very, very pleasing light. These lights were really designed for video work, so very pleasing light to the human skin that looks very good if you just turn the house lights down and want to get those house lights down a little bit and still want to be able to see the people who are on the stage. I typically put a couple of tubes over on the sides and then a few tubes behind. They're very, very versatile tools in your tool chest, and like I said, the best part, they take up almost no space. I can set the lights up in about 10 to 15 minutes and they tear down in about 5. If you're looking for a small light setup, this is probably the one you're gonna want. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. The more subscribers I get, hopefully the bigger I can grow the channel, which will be amazing. As always, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer as many as possible.